I think we did it. I think I've
You did it.
successfully started a
You
session.
did it.
Okay. It's my first time on StreamYard. It's a very good program that I love. You know, I get you know me. I get giddy when I do stuff I haven't done before. Oh man. I'm glad we have this time together. Um, uh, for anyone watching the replay, David and I are old friends, and I've deliberately not asked him the questions that I'm planning to ask during this session, so that I can spring it on you and like that. Um, how are you? That's the first question.
I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm great. Yeah, I it's been a wonderful Sunday so far as we record this, as we do this live.
Yeah.
Today's the first day of registration for the new course. I'm getting new students. We're there. Some of them are overachievers. Some of them are I won't hear from for months. But some of them are like already like sending me their addresses so I can deliver them the equipment. They're already like signed up for Pro Connect Live and for the workouts this month. Like they are on top of it. So, and if you
Yeah.
have no idea what I'm talking about,
You'll find out. But I mean, I just side note that one of the most unbelievable things about your course is that you send people all the equipment they need.
wait.
Yeah. Oh, this is he walks away in the middle of a talk.
Wait, I'll be over. I'll be there. Hold on.
Are we doing show and tell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the gear. Here's the gear that I use, and this is what I send to people: the mic, the mic sock, the earbuds,
That's kind of extraordinary.
It is extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, no, it is. I'm listen. What was the commercial where you used to say, "I'm also a satisfied client"? That's me.
Oh, Hair Club for Men. Thank you.
Yeah, it was the Hair Club for Men. That's right.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that takes me to it. There was a stand-up comic that used to do a bit about the commercial would be like, "Could you believe I'm wearing a hairpiece?" And the comic is like, "It looks like a piece of lettuce on the man's head. It's so clearly a hairpiece." One of the things I don't know about you, because you're a prolific teacher at this point. You teach a lot. You coach. You teach. How did that become such a big part of your life?
I was dragged kicking and screaming into it. I can tell you that for sure. Absolutely.
Really?
I was at, I think, an ADR session. I was at an ADR session. And just before we broke for lunch, we were all going to go to they had the table set up with the sandwiches and whatnot. And just before we broke for lunch, I said, I got to go quickly over into the corner and do an audition. Because the person that was running the loop group was like, okay, we're going to break for 45 minutes for lunch, blah, blah, blah. So I went over to the corner of the studio. I remember this was at Sony in Culver City. I went over to the corner of this big cavernous room and I whipped out my phone and I did a quick audition and I sent it in to my agent. And one of the women in the loop group with me said, "What did you do? What was that you just did over there? What's going on here?" And it launched a conversation that I was in my own little world. I moved here from DC. I'd been doing voiceover for 30 years or so. And I had my way of doing things. I had my workflow and I had my gear and I had my stuff. And I had been a client of an agency that unfortunately no longer exists, but was amazing, independent artists.
I was going to say, Innovative closed? My God, no.
No. They didn't close. And I had convinced my agent to let me do my auditions from home with my gear, with the same gear, this gear, right? Yeah. And she was amazed. And it was like at that turning point when it was more likely than not that voiceover talent was doing at least auditions from home. Certainly not work yet. That happened about 5-6 years later that started to get going. And certainly accelerated with the pandemic. But at that point, most people were being called into either their agent's office, where they had a whisper room set up so they could do the auditions there for voiceover, or to an actual studio. But I was doing a lot of my stuff from home, and I was also on casting sites like Voice 123 and others. And so this woman like grilled me for the entire lunch hour and then took me out to coffee afterwards, and she was going to like, like the garlic press, she was going to get every ounce of gooey goodness out of me. Like, you did your own demos? How do you know how to do your demos? Where did you how do you what's a what's Audacity? And I
And before you knew
realized,
it,
and what?
I said, and before you knew it, you were.
Well, she said, you should teach a class on this.
Hmm,
And so I did.
wow.
One of the places that I would go for classes in acting said, yeah, you can use the studio, $25. And so I did it, and I was doing it every weekend. And then I realized about maybe a month or two in that I was teaching a class on how to do commercial voiceover. It was a very specific category, and how to audition. And
Hmm.
so I broke those up into two different classes. And then somebody said, I heard you on a phone line the other day. Do you do that kind of work? Do you do phone work? And I'm like, that's the biggest part of my business. And they're like, how do you do that? And then there was another garlic press compeller thing going. And so basically, I just listened to the people that would tell other people, hey, he teaches this, he knows what he's doing, he's booked, he's doing all this stuff. And then Heroes happened, and so there was a little bit of street cred involved. And then the classes just started getting more and more voluminous, and people were like, "Well, how do you price your stuff? How do I know what to charge for what I'm doing? How do I find an agent? You made your own demo. How do you make a demo? What goes into making a great demo?" So all of these different categories have enough knowledge content in them that they really require one or two, in some cases, courses to get through it all. And it's all from my perspective. I only teach what I think will work for most people. And if it only works for me, I kind of like just let it work for me and just leave it alone. But
Right.
it was definitely a rule that I think a lot of people who are part of this craze of, create an online course and sell it, and make $1 million in your underwear at 2 a.m. Um, I think a lot of them, uh, they think they know what people want. I've been very fortunate in just letting my clients tell me what they want, and then I'll build a class around it.
Yeah.
And it turned out that there's now like nearly 40 classes in the whole VO Heroes Pro curriculum
I
that
love this story.
cover
I,
everything.
I love this story because it's funny how we fall backwards into things. A lot of the things that I'm now doing, I fell backwards into. I never planned on doing, and here you are, like, you know, you're the person we all send everybody to because you're the, I teasingly call you the voiceover guru, but you are. You sort of know um, everything there is to know about voiceover, at least so it seems to me. And it's interesting, these little paths our careers take. I mean, as you often remind people, you're a working actor and voiceover artist. It's not that like you're, teaching is your entire career, and it's
No,
just become, but it's become an important part of your sort of mission in this world. To
yeah.
I think to demystify the process, which can be quite mystifying. Um,
Yeah.
what is I'm saving some of the juicy questions for a minute, but I'm gonna get to them. Uh, what's new in the world of voiceover? What's going on now that wasn't happening earlier?
So when you say earlier, a few years ago, a decade
I don't
ago.
know. I don't know. I,
Okay,
I just
well,
I just I just asked the questions. I don't know.
okay, you just
Yeah,
asked the questions. Okay.
yeah.
So, a couple big events or a couple of big trends that have been happening.
Mm,
Maybe a decade ago, as I said, a lot of stuff started happening at home, and more agents were willing to accept auditions done from someone's walk-in closet or under the
right.
stairs or in the basement. That happened.
Mm,
2010, 2015, somewhere in there. Of course, the pandemic kind of drew focus to the idea of working from home, which for voice talent was like, okay, what else is new?
right.
It's like I joked that I've been socially distancing since the 80s.
Wait,
And
I will have to insert a sub question. What's the weirdest location that you've ever heard of somebody setting up their booth in their house? I mean, I know a lot of us have closet booths. Anything, have you ever known anybody who put their booth in an odd place? You said under the stairs. I was intrigued.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. There's a friend of mine. He actually, he's very well known, very very lovely audiobook narrator. He also teaches voiceover at a community college near here. His booth is under the stairs that leads from the first floor to the second floor of his lovely home in Los Angeles.
And
And the
that
only
man's
time he
name is
can't
Harry
record,
Potter.
what?
And that
His name is Harry Potter, and he has that little thing. But the the thing is, I've been in that space, and it sounds great. He's
you
got
know,
it draped with towels, and he uses a little evaporative cooler that he turns on in between when he's talking and when he needs
yeah.
it to be quiet. Um, I will tell you that sometimes people think it would be a great idea to put their booth in the bathroom
Oh
because it's
God.
got this great reverberant sound and it's lovely and it's like I'm on stage singing opera, and it's like it's the worst possible
Of
place.
course it is. It's good
Yeah,
for
because
singing
of
in the
all the
shower.
flushing.
Yeah.
You don't want the flushing being
No,
heard.
not, please, not the flush.
So, but that's
All
not
right.
a good place. But there are lots
Anyway,
of great places. Yeah.
sorry. I think we have an overlap. But I am not actually interrupting you. I'm sorry. I guess I gave a sub question to the first question, which was what's new in voiceover. Anyway, you catch me up.
Yeah. So there was the work from home thing during the pandemic, which fit in perfectly with how voiceover actually works in terms of getting auditions, doing those auditions, and returning them to the people requesting them, either the clients on the casting sites, the voice seekers, or
Mhm.
your agent, or existing clients,
Right.
or people that you've talked to on the street, like at a party, and they're like, "Oh, you do voiceover? I might need you for that." You never know. In Los Angeles, you never know, and in other places you never know. So there was that, and then recently, like in the last year or two, artificial intelligence has become this bugaboo that has got some people just twisted into knots
Mm.
about whether or not there's even a future to voiceover or acting in general. You know, voiceover, you and I both know this, is a specific focused area of acting. It
Yes.
is an acting pursuit. And there are people who are convinced that Skynet is soon to become sentient, and our AI overlords will be telling us what to do for them. And I don't think that's the case. Now, I've been wrong about technology in the past, but for the most part, technology just is. It's neutral. How it's used can be positive or negative. And we spent the last week and a half in a series of lessons talking to people about artificial intelligence and showing both what I call the basement, the awful stuff, the flooded basement, and the balcony, the good stuff, the things
Yeah.
that you know that are positives for us. And I don't think that AI is coming for our jobs. I think humans will always be in demand, no matter how good synthetic voices get. And I also think that the union is looking out for us. They have moved faster in this space. I wish I could share with you what happened in a meeting on Thursday on one of the committees that I'm on for the union regarding the union's creation of language around an actor doing artificial intelligence training work, but getting paid magnificently for, and not a star, not like a celebrity,
Hmm.
a normal everyday workaday voice talent that was asked by a client to what would it take, what would be the, and they immediately agreed to what the union had to say about this. And there's a subcommittee that I'm on that is about AI, and I think that AI is going to be like any other technology. It's going to be used for good things, and it's going to be used for bad things. You know, email can be used to offer you a job. It can also be used to spam you. So that's what I think. So
I,
those are the main things to answer your question.
I will continue to say that every time I've seen a movie where somebody says the robots are our friends, they're here to help us, it doesn't end well.
No, it doesn't end
So
well.
so I mean, since we're here, since we've landed on one of the biggies, I
Uh-huh.
mean, you know, tell me, prove me wrong. Tell me I'm wrong that the robots are not going to take our jobs.
I can't prove either way.
Okay.
Who can predict what the future will bring? But I do know that I've been through this. I've been
Yeah.
through this before. In the late '80s, early '90s, digital recording and editing of audio came into being.
Hmm.
Up until then, we were recording with all analog gear, with some electronic assistance in the consoles that we were using, but we were recording to tape.
Oh yeah, I
It
remember.
was all analog.
Yeah,
And I was really good at editing tape with a razor blade and tape and all that, a skill that nobody gives a crap about anymore at all.
absolutely
But
right.
when digital recording started, popping up here and there, oh my God, we're done. Studios are going to go out of business. Nobody's going to need engineers anymore. It's all going to be done by the robots. And that didn't happen.
All right.
What did happen was we all got better and faster and a little bit more efficient with our work. But the art part, the vocalization part, that was still very, very important to understand how to do and to do well.
All right.
Um, I think that
No, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad to know this. I'm, I'm somewhat convinced because I think only humans can convey the human experience. But
well,
yeah,
yeah. And listen, let me rip the band-aid off this. Artificial intelligence is a progressive learning process. By its very definition, it is taking a body of knowledge, adding more knowledge to it, and becoming better at what it does,
right.
understanding how you sound, understanding how you speak. But that can be used to mend a mistake. Uh, you might have wanted to say in your narration for the book that you're narrating, usually there's a matinee on Wednesday and Saturday or Sunday, but instead you say Tuesday and Friday. Who knows? But you could tell a tool like Overdub, which is a tool in Descript or a tool that will soon be available with other processes, to change those words based on your voice. And it's pretty good so far, and it'll only get better. So there are ways to do this that can be helpful to the voice talent as well as potentially replace them. Now, here's the big thing that I would say to you. As I said, I've done an awful lot of work in the area of IVR, and I teach IVR like it's a core thing because it's so easy to do and it's so remunerative. It's lovely. It's wonderful. You're helping people, and so synthetic voices have been an option for banks and department stores and
Yeah.
mapping, things. I mean, it's been available since the '80s. They've always had the option to not use me, but rather use what in the very beginning were awful sounding voices. They sounded like, do you remember
Oh
the
yeah.
movie War Games with Matthew Broderick and
Yeah.
Ali Sheedy?
Yeah. Very well. Yeah.
Remember when the Whopper computer said, "Want to play a game?"
Oh yeah.
It didn't it
Yeah.
didn't matter. You understood the words. It's like AM radio. It's not the best quality, but at least you can understand the words. And that's always been an option. And somehow I'm still making a lot of money doing IVR work.
Hmm.
And so are a lot of other people. And so we've peacefully coexisted with synthetic voices for a lot longer than it's been this incredible threat to voiceover. And I'm not saying that there won't be jobs that companies that don't have the money to pay a human being or want to, disrupt the status quo and disintermediate the establishment and, wear black t-shirts and be coders and whatnot. Those companies will want to explore the notion of using synthetic voices. It's going to happen. It's already happening. They're
Right.
here. It's working. They're going to get better and they're going to get cheaper. But I don't think that what's going to happen is no one will ever use human voices again. I think there will always be a demand for what you said, the humanity of voice work.
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right too.
I'm so doom and gloom. Um, I I wanted to know the course that you're offering this week. First of all, I want to find out what the whole deal is. Is this the same as the course that I took a couple of years ago?
Well, or that you're currently taking.
Currently taking. Well,
Yeah,
it's so voluminous that it's taking me a long time to get through all of it. It's
which
so
is a
good.
great point. You take it at
Yeah.
your own pace.
Yes.
So when you're a working actor like Michael Kostroff, who is, by the way, a VHR's pro, and I'm so proud. You have no idea how proud that I am. So proud that you put your trust in me with that. It's going to take him a while,
Yeah.
and he's going to have a different pace than somebody. I had a client once who was just getting started in his acting career, and he had a survival job as a guard in the front guardhouse of a celebrity's compound. And the celebrity never got into trouble. They weren't out in their SUV flashing the paparazzi with their crotches. Wasn't doing any of that stuff. They would stay at home and watch
What kind
Netflix.
of celebrity is this?
I know, right? So he had
Missing the whole point.
all the time in the world. He went through the entire curriculum. He went through 2 or 3 classes a night because
Yeah.
they're each about an hour, hour and a half long. And he took it at his pace, and it took him about 3 weeks or a month to get through the entire curriculum. But then he went through it again and again and again and again,
Mm-hmm.
because if you go through it too fast, you'll miss stuff.
I mean, it was a really big breakthrough for me when I realized that it's okay that I move slowly through things. And what's also cool is that I've been able to hop around to go. Like, I was not really interested in audiobooks when I first started learning about voiceover. I was like, no, that's too overwhelming. It's too big. It's like crossing an ocean. And as I started to become more interested, I moved over to that part of the curriculum. I've been really focused on that. Obviously, I love doing lots of voices and stuff. So I visited the animation, and I kind of go, okay, what area of it do I want to export? And it's all there. It's so thorough that I cannot believe it. And again, I'll brag a little bit about it. I mean, I have been one of those people who's been like, oh, tech, and your course has whittled away at that resistance because you break it down so clearly, and you break it down in a way that is so people like me friendly that it's kind of amazing what I've now sometimes advised people on editing sound. I'm like, what's happened to me? I don't understand what's happened. I don't,
That's great.
now I'm the guy telling other people how to do it, so I love how thorough it is. So it is, it is that same full course that
Absolutely. It's a series of nearly 40 courses. We teach from 4 kind of vectors or 4 kind of keys. We
right.
teach about the artwork involved, the different categories of work that you'll work in: commercials and animation and video games and documentaries and audiobooks and so on. We talk about the commerce of work. So a business that you're building, just like you've built your business as a working actor, and you have actual business acumen when it comes to how you relate to your production partners, how you relate to your sales team, which others call agents and managers, how you work with the union, how all of these things are involved, how you market yourself, how you present yourself with your resume and your headshots. The third category is the science or the technology, because it's one of those areas where you're as close to the technology as you possibly can be. Your
Yeah.
microphone, your software, how you edit things, how you master things, etc. And then the fourth area is mindset. And mindset is truly something that I think you and I are on the same plane with when it comes
Yes.
to how performers who are in such a weird ass business are presented with things that can destroy them if they
Yeah.
don't understand how to deal with them mentally, how to deal with them in
Yes.
a healthy way, in a psychologically healthy way, as well as a healthy way business wise,
A reality based way that is
Yeah,
important.
absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
And again, your stuff is field tested because this is what you do. It's not, we've all seen classes offered by people who don't do the actual thing that they're teaching. So that's
Yeah.
always frustrating to me.
Yeah.
Tell me about this current registration period.
So we opened registration. We're doing this live on Sunday, the 27th of August. Is that right?
I'm going to say yes.
Um, yeah. So we opened registration earlier this morning. We'll be open through the week, and then we close registration at the end of the week. But in the first few days, we're offering some special bonuses. Actually, some fairly expensive bonuses altogether. They're worth around $3,300, and this isn't some pie in the sky, hey, well, I would value this at $5,000. No, it's like we're offering a course specifically about limiting beliefs that I
Yeah,
did a few years ago as one of the bonuses, called Believe,
that's
where
really
if you
good.
think you're too old, or too your voice isn't good enough, or you don't have enough experience, or you don't live
Mm,
in an area where it's a production center, or 21 other limiting beliefs. We take a look at how those beliefs have been created. We look at how to destroy those beliefs, and at the same time replace those beliefs with enabling beliefs. How
mm,
to tell yourself things that are productive and progressive. That's just one of the bonuses, and there's a package of 5 bonuses if you register before Tuesday night, and you should use Michael's link there, because he's the one that knows how to get you to do that, get you over there. This this is the one time during the year that we accept new clients, that we go out to the public and say, okay, it's kind of like college, you matriculate in the fall, and
right.
it's a new cohort, right? And so that's what we do, and then we put everything away. I get everybody into the class, and I start teaching the class,
Hmm.
and I teach the class. It's kind of live assist. So there's all these recorded, what the community college and university world calls asynchronous. So if you decide that the time that you can take classes is 10:30 at night, or 2:30 in the morning, or before you go to work at 7 a.m., or you have a schedule that's more open and you can do it whenever you feel like it, you can take these classes on demand, all of them. But what is not on demand are live monthly workouts with either me or with a member of my coaching team. And you and I know a number of my coaches, Karen
Yeah,
Eileen
they're
Jordan and
great.
Trevor Allgott. And these people are just amazing at what they do. And they all have superpowers, and they're all very supportive. There's a community that you can post your questions in if you have questions. Like, what was the bit rate that we were supposed to make that one thing to upload it to AC? Oh, 192, right? And you post that, and we'll answer it. That's what we do.
I
We have a
used to, ne-
labs area.
and
What?
I used to never take advantage of that opportunity, and lately I've been recognizing the value of that community and getting answers for my questions.
Yeah,
Now that I'm a big deal in voiceover, I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there. I'm, I
and you
am,
get the gear.
and you get the gear. It's
Yeah, and
amazing.
you get the gear. We send you the actual equipment that, and by the way, this isn't the toy beginner stuff that uh I think you should use, while I use the $3,800 microphones that all the other big time voiceover people. No, I use that microphone
Hmm.
every single day for everything that I do, except being on camera. I use a different microphone for that, because it's not meant for, like, I see people using that microphone or other microphones like it, really good voiceover microphones, on videos, and they have to put it right next to their mouth so it's in the shot. And it's like, that's not what that microphone is for. Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that. Use a shotgun microphone like you're supposed to. Anyway, you get the gear. It's actually, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share a secret with you. The gear makes my job easier. If everybody's using it, or if most everybody is using, because I have some clients who come to me already with a booth and with gear that they've invested in and all that, and that's fine. My stuff works with that as well. But it allows me to build my courses, especially the gear courses, the science courses, around a common group of equipment.
Yeah.
And I use it too. So it's not like you're going to come to me and go, that microphone you sent me, it does this. I'm not going to go, huh, really? Wow, that's interesting. Oh, I hope you figure it out. You know, I'll be like, okay, yeah, yeah, sure. You just need to balance the dial wheels on the side that go between mic and computer. I know this stuff inside and out, because this is what I use for my own career.
Yeah.
And I like sharing things that I find work. Just like you do in Audition Psych 101,
Yeah. Yeah.
you share stuff that's worked for you.
I know, but you treat people to the equipment. You don't just tell them what the equipment is.
What equipment do you need to send to people?
I know.
Shoe leather?
No, I don't need to send any equipment. I'm just saying I still it still boggles the mind that people who sign up for your course get the actual microphone. It's I think that's pretty fantastic. I
Thank
just
you.
do. I just do. Listen, I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah.
I mean, just because we're friends doesn't mean I can't gush a little bit. You know. Um, I, I I wanted to get to the strike only because I don't exactly understand to what extent the strike is affecting or not affecting voiceover. My understanding is that voiceovers are uh, still open and okay to do. Is that
Oh
right?
yeah.
Okay.
With very few exceptions. If it's, we're striking over one contract and it's daughter sibling contracts. So we're striking over the TV theatrical contract
Right.
and a couple of other contracts that are derivative from that. But the vast preponderance of all the other contracts are not only still available to work on a regular basis, but we want people to work, number one, so they have income, and number two, so that we're rewarding the production partners with whom we've negotiated these contracts
Right. Right. Right.
in a way that we're not going to be rewarding through the strike the members of the AMPTP who are doing primetime television, streaming, and big movies, studio movies. So the only voiceover that you can't do during the strike is voiceover associated with those projects. So, for example, if you were going to remember the Wonder Years and how they had, Judge Reinhardt doing the voiceover for that, or Bob Saget doing the voiceover for How I Met Your Mother, that we couldn't do in voiceover. But audiobooks, yep. Commercials, yep. Commercials, both voiceover for radio and internet, but also television. So even if a commercial appears during prime time, that's not struck work.
Okay.
You can still pursue that work.
What about
animation? As long as it's not prime time, you can do animation as well. So it depends. But for the most part, that big bolus of work that isn't primetime theatrical is all open and available for work.
I like many of us, I had been hearing for years that voiceover is don't bother. It's locked up. It's impossible to get at. I think that's not true, right? I think that's no longer the case. I had heard, especially animation, but really just voiceover in general. It was this mysterious elite group that did all of the voiceover. So this is part one of my question. Part two is, do you have to have a certain kind of voice?
Okay, so let's take those separately. First of all, I think the answer is somewhere between that's wrong and that's right.
Okay.
Certainly, when it comes to the jobs in voiceover, celebrities take as much of that work as they would if it was television or film. I mean, recognizable celebrity voices have value to producers. And there is a second group of people that's very similar to the type of actor that you are. You are an actor that is recognizable, maybe not by everybody by your name, but certainly by your face. And you work more often than many actors who are still trying to find their lane and find their portfolio of opportunities and so on. There's a group of voiceover actors that people tend to go to because they're really good at what they do. If I said the name Fred Tatasciore, or maybe E.G. Daily, you might know who E.G. Daily is. She was very active in Fox commercials, and she's done a lot of not commercials, animation. She's done a lot of animation. She's done a lot of video games. She's done a lot of animation, but she's not a household name, right? She was on Pee-wee's Playhouse, and she does do on-camera work, but for the most part, she's known for voiceover. She's one of those very special actors that gets a lot of voiceover work, but isn't a household name. Just like on camera actors, there are these variegated levels of and divisions of actors, some of whom have had no work whatsoever, some of whom has had one or two, co-star roles so far, some that regularly guest star, some that are top of show all the time, some that have done series regulars, some that are superstars. You have all those individual categories. Same thing with voiceover. Some categories have more celebrity work done than others, and unfortunately, one of those categories is animation. Animation is one of those categories where the work is less plentiful than, say, commercials or audiobooks.
Yeah.
And the producers are spending a lot of money on these shows, so they want people whose fan base will watch the show. That's why they hire them. Not because they're spectacularly better than other people doing voice work. So there's that. The second question that you asked was, how do you know if you have a good enough voice to do voiceover? Is that right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Are certain voices suited to voiceovers and certain voices not.
Right. So there's been a sea change in the demand for types of voices in the world of voiceover. The sea change happened back in the early 2000s, late 1990s. Before that, it was announcers. It was deep voices that did this kind of work.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, people that were producing commercials, starting with Clara Pell in the Wendy's commercial, "Where's the beef?"
Oh yeah.
She was kind of one of those bellwethers of, oh, they're not looking for announcers anymore. And I had spent a good 10 years by that point. That was the mid 80s. I'd spent a good 10 years at that point developing an announcery type voice so that I could work in voiceover. And all of a sudden, they were like, no, just be yourself. Just be the goofy, nutty, non-announcery voice that you are. Now, here's the thing. I have a lot of clients who come to me from radio. And one of the biggest challenges that they have is letting themselves be human as opposed to being announcery. And you can't blame them because they've been paid a salary to sound like that for years.
Yeah.
So they have that pukey back of the throat kind of voice. And they're, they like, well, that's what they've paid me for. Why can't I sound like that doing voiceover? Well, there is a tiny little bit of demand for that, mostly when there's stuff that's making fun of announcer voices, right?
Yeah.
There's a casino here in the LA area in Southern California where the voiceover announcer is this blustery idiot announcer guy. And they just makes fun of it, right? So everybody else wants normal, accessible, friendly, maybe goofy voices. What that has done is it has opened up the doorway to not just announcery voices, not just sexy voices, not just very erudite voices, but all voices. All voices.
Really? Okay.
I have a client who sounds like the prototypical nerd. In fact, we were talking yesterday about day before yesterday. I had one of our monthly workouts, and we were talking in the Q&A section about brands, about your lanes, about what you're good at, and what people, upon hearing your voice, would think they could book you on. And I said, dude, you got to look up nerd and then go over to Google and do synonyms for nerd and put that in your bio, in your blurb, in your marketing stuff. Because he's a Dungeons and Dragons master. He's a D&D master.
Of course.
Like, Chris, right? It's not Chris, but it's like Chris.
Yeah.
Right? We share a client and a friend named Chris who just has that kind of voice, and so look at that. Look at the vast variety of. Here's an exercise that I give people on your DVR, or if you're watching YouTube TV or whatever. Grab an hour-long show. Don't watch the show.
Just the commercials. Yeah.
Just fast forward through to the commercials. Fast forward through the drama or the comedy to the commercials. close your eyes, listen to the commercials, and say, is that an announcer voice? Or is that a friendly, helpful Honda dealer voice? Or a Flow for Progressive or Dr. Rick? Or is it a goofy voice? Is it the gecko or the caveman for Geico? Or all of these other things that likely have nothing to do with announcery or deep or sexy voices that you would think would be the archetype of voiceover voices
Yeah,
in the past.
it is very much the trend. I mean, I've been bemoaning the fact that Burger King has a guy singing their jingles now who sings poorly, sings flat, sings
On
off key.
purpose.
Well, that's what they wanted. Yeah, they
Yeah,
want
exactly.
accessibility, sound like a regular guy. I mean, that's the epitome of sound like a regular guy. He doesn't sing on key, you know, and the rhymes are bad. And I think I understand why they do that, because it's like, hey, we're just like you. Come on down. They, they don't want to sound erudite by
Yeah,
singing
exactly.
properly.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I have a weird crackly voice, and some people find that to be an asset.
Okay, hold on. Time out.
Uh-oh.
What did you say your voice was?
Weird and crackly. You don't think it's crackly? I do.
I guarantee you that no one, if you were to survey the viewers of this session, both the live version and the recorded version, your clients, my clients, I
Okay.
don't think either of those words would be used about your voice. Here's what I hear in your voice. I hear New York. I hear I don't take shit from anybody. I hear smart. I hear slightly older, but not senior. I hear very clear enunciation, creative. I don't hear what you hear, and that's not odd.
Yeah. Okay.
Most people are their own worst enemies when it comes to deciding what categories their voice belongs in.
I mean, I don't dislike my voice. I think it's fine. I think what I said poorly was that I don't have a classic announcer voice. It's not the way I am.
The good news is that's not necessary.
That's not necessary anymore. That's the good news. That's
Yep.
whatever words we use to describe this that's happening right now. It's okay.
Yeah.
And that was sort of a breakthrough. Um, I want to just clarify. I didn't track the actual days. I know your registration is open until Saturday, correct?
It is, but we want to make sure
But
people know.
this was the follow up question was which how long does this early registration bonus happen?
Right. So the early action bonus is only through Tuesday night at 9 p.m.
Okay.
And at that point, we're trying to make sure that people who really are enthusiastic and want to do voiceover work, they get rewarded for making the decision faster.
Right.
And, it's not inexpensive. I get that. The heft of what you get for this, the depths are pretty deep.
Yeah, I
and
have to
the gear,
testify to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you move fast, if you're an early action, we want to reward people who have what I call a bias for action.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean you can't take all the time in the world once you're signed up, but make the decision now. If you want to do this, if this is something that really speaks to you, that you've been thinking about for a while, that you think, oh, I think I might be able to do that. I hear the people on radio and on television, and I think, yeah, maybe I could do that, and you've thought about it enough to decide, I'd like to turn this into a business. I'm not looking for people who want to play, who are looking to do like, a hobby. That I don't want you to. I don't want you to do our program because it's A, way too expensive, and B, I want to make sure that I'm coaching people toward a particular goal of being a professional voiceover talent.
Yeah. I want to say I want to just add one of the things I love about this is not a course that says you cannot work as a professional voiceover artist until you have completed this course. No, you are helping us to pursue the work at the same time that we're learning about the work, which is mind blowing to me. I've already booked voiceover work since starting your course, and as you know, I procrastinated starting the course for a long time. I was not an early action person. When I finally did make the move, I'm so glad that I did. It is uh, the word I always use is thorough. Thorough covers everything, and is practical and applicable, and you don't wait to start pursuing voiceover.
Yeah.
If anything, you start to. I think you help us realize that we already have assets. We already have things. And yes, there's some technical stuff to learn. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's a little hurdle. It's not a big one. Uh, and I now really enjoy the technical process of this too. I really do.
I hear from a little birdie that we have one little thing that we teach called the stair step method
Oh
that
God,
is
I love it.
designed to help you get through audiobook narration faster than you would with other categories, but with no loss of quality. And involved in that are some key combinations on your keyboard to keep things moving along.
Yeah.
And given your statements to me in the past, Mr. Kostroff, about the challenges that you may have had at some point with technology, I was like, okay, well, maybe this is going to take a little bit of extra coaching to do this. No, no. Michael Kostroff comes to me and says, "Oh yeah, the ZCV thing and the QW thing. Oh my God, it's awesome."
I paid
And
attention
at
to the
some point, I
course.
want to talk to you in depth about your feelings about that.
Yeah.
But the
It's a
notion
game
that
changer, and it's a game changer that I've no one else is teaching, because you know experts who are working in voiceover go, "Oh yeah, I know, punch and roll." I'm like, "No, it's not punch and roll. It's not that. It is so much more logical." And I listened to you talk about it for years. I'm like, yada yada, stair step method. But when I sat down and just watched that part of the course, and
yeah,
I'm like, and you know, listen, if anybody else went, "Oh, hotkeys," I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But you walked us through how to, and I did it. I did all the things you told me to, and now I'm like, just my little fingers just editing like this as I go. It's bananas. I can't believe how fast I'm. And again, I am now narrating my first book. The first book that I wrote, and it was just a task I thought would be daunting, and it's fun, and I love it, and it's you know, my closet is now like the right sound levels. It's all decorated up, and I go in there and it's like it's meditative. It's really good quiet time. But yes, I have.
this makes me so happy.
Listen, man, that stair step method is so brilliant and so damn easy that I can't even believe that. I feel sad for people who are not learning that method of 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 working.
Yeah,
It's such a game changer. My God.
yeah.
Yeah, I could talk about that one all day. That's just like that's a little one little piece of the one little piece of the whole package. But you know, I don't recommend a lot of things. And you know this about me. I'm very very conservative about that. I just am. I recommend your course constantly to everyone. It's the kind of thing where a couple of years ago I was looking for new songs for my audition book, new songs, and everybody said go to Aaron Galligan Steele. Everybody said the same guy, because he's the guy who does that, and you're that guy. You're the guy that everybody goes, well, just go take David's course. It's really, you will avoid a lot of bad information that's out there by taking the course. And
Well, I
I'm just
want to get people
yeah,
working as quickly as possible.
right.
I'm one of these people who I don't I've started to feel my mortality in the 40s, in my 40s. I'm like, I got to get some shit done here. I got to get some stuff done here. And I want that for others. If this is something that you want to do,
Yeah.
there is no reason to wait. There is no reason to go, yeah, I need to know more stuff, or I
Mm-mm.
need to know more that I'm capable of doing this. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to break things, you're going to fail, you're going to do something that's incorrect, but you're not going to hurt anything.
No.
You're just going to learn.
Yeah.
And I think we undervalue the notion of failure, especially at the beginning. We're like, oh, I don't want to get started until I know more, until I've removed as much risk as possible. And so we try to remove as much risk as possible because we're very understanding and nurturing and caring. But at the same time, we don't want to. Who is that in front of your screen?
Where? I don't have
I
anybody
see
in front
I
of my
see something in front of your screen.
I don't see anything in front of my screen.
Oh, it's the background. I'm sorry. It looked like it was in front of the screen. I
Oh,
apologize.
it's an
Blip.
illusion.
Don't worry.
Um,
Okay. So I feel like, there are people who aren't ready for college. And I think part of that is
yeah.
a maturity thing. But I think that when people decide, I think I'd like to give this a try, and then they go to do so, and they go, "Oh, wait, not me. I'm sorry. I was mistaken. That's not me." It might be you, and I want you to consider the notion that everybody is nervous when they first start doing something. They're all frightened of failure. They're all frightened of the unknown. They're all frightened of making mistakes and hurting their computer or their microphone or something. Microphone has one moving part. You won't hurt it, I promise. So, yeah, don't worry about that. Do what Michael did.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm so enjoying the thing, and my agents are very happy. They're like, everything sounds great. I think there's a job that I booked, and I said, oh, that's great. When do we record? They said, you already did. They liked what I did on my computer on Audacity in my closet, and the quality
For
was
your
good enough.
audition.
Yes, they
Yeah.
booked that.
So
That's all thanks to
using
you.
using the content of your audition is something that I hear my clients talking about all the time. I would not have doubted for a moment that that would happen to you, not just once, but in the future as well.
Wow.
And it's because it's not about the microphone, it's about how the microphone is used. And it's about the acting that goes
Mm.
into the performance that's captured by the microphone. So that's what we kind of center around. And you're like, "Yeah, this is great. I'm just so happy."
I'm enjoying the process, man. I really am. Uh, we're coming up on an hour. I think we should wrap up at the hour mark. But
Do you have any other questions for me?
I do. One that just came to mind. Do you think that sometimes people are hesitant because they're scared of hearing their own voice and judging it? Does that happen a lot with people?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Two things, two ends of the spectrum. One end of the spectrum is the guy who calls me on the phone and says, the ladies tell me I have quite a
Ah,
voice on the phone. So I figured I could do voiceover, don't you think? So, okay, all right, that's cool. And then there's the person who's never heard themselves recorded, and they hear themselves recorded for the first time, and they're absolutely aghast at what they hear because it's not the same as what they hear when they're speaking themselves.
well, it's like seeing yourself on screen. It's very weird when it first starts. I'm so
It
used to it
is.
now, but I wasn't at the beginning. It was like, what is my face doing?
Yeah. Well, there's an actual physical reason for what they're experiencing. You hear me only through the air, right? When I talk to you, you hear me through the air. When I talk, I'm hearing myself through the air, going out and bouncing on the walls and coming back into my ears.
Yes.
But I'm also hearing myself through the muscles and the bones in my neck and my head and up to my ears. It's a very bassy sound. You can hear it yourself if you put your hands over your ears and you talk.
Mm.
You'll hear the version of the voice that's added to the convective version. It's called the conductive version of your voice. And so you hear yourself with a lot more bass in what you hear than what other people hear you with,
Mm.
but not that much more. However, it's noticeable when you listen back to what's been recorded because you don't hear that conductive part. And so it sounds a little tinny, or it sounds a little, I've heard people describe it like Mickey Mouse.
Mm.
And you kind of have to get used to that notion and say, oh, well, this is what people hear me. And nobody said to me, wow, your voice is really weird. They don't say that. They just go,
No.
oh, thank you for the information. That's all it is. But yeah, there's that reaction that people have, and then they get used to it. And I am a fan. I am an adamant consultant fan of wearing earbuds or headphones. There are coaches, there are voiceover coaches who insist that you not. And for a number of technical reasons, as well as a number of performance reasons, I insist that you do.
Mm.
And it's not just because I'm coming from radio where I always wore headphones so that I knew what was going on the air, but just the ability that you have to be more precise about your work, to be more evocative with your work, to be more expressive with your work. And I really want people to have the best opportunity to move forward with their success. So, yeah, there's that hump that you have to get over where you're like, you hear yourself for the first time and you're like, does anybody else hear what I hear? You
Yeah.
know, so yeah.
I think I sound great when I hear myself, although I do have a slight Spanish accent. It's very
Do
surprising,
you?
but that I just didn't know that because I didn't hear it in my own head, and everybody else hears it, obviously. No, that would be. I just thought that would be really funny if when you hear yourself for the first time, you're like, "I'm Scottish." I just think that'd be interesting.
One of the moments that I loved with you was when you sent me the first like the preface or something. You sent me like a minute and a half's worth of stuff. We were trying to dial in sound, or I don't know what we were doing, but I
Yeah.
listened and tears came to my eyes because
Really?
I knew, and I'm telling you this now, remember me when, because look, the same, one of the classes that I teach in the curriculum, in the VO Heroes Pro curriculum, is called Mutual Muscles.
Hmm.
And it's all about the fact that as performers, whether the collector device is a very expensive camera on a set, or a live audience in a theater, or a microphone in a studio or in a closet, we are actors. We use the same skill set, no matter what the content is, in serving the story.
Yeah.
There are technical differences. There are business differences to a degree. There's some process differences, but for the most part, the core of the work is exactly the same.
Hmm.
And that's so clear with your performances as an audiobook narrator. You're not too blustery. You get the distance to the audience. That's not an easy thing to acquire for some people. You get that. You own the material. I'm talking about you specifically because when people hear your book, when it comes out, they're going to think you've been doing this your whole life, like that engineer did when you did the Stage Actors Handbook.
Wow. Okay. Well, I just didn't know this. I didn't know. I learned from you. I think wrapping up on a huge compliment about my work is really like I can't think of a
Perfect.
better that we've really landed on the crucial point of the interview, which is
Yeah.
how good I am at voiceover. I think that's. Oh yeah, I haven't entirely bought that yet, but I love that. Yeah, I love your assessment, and I love everything that I've learned from you, and I hope that everyone who is serious about this checks out your course, and especially in these first few days when it's got nifty bonuses attached. I'm especially interested in those 12 defeating. What is it? How 21 self-defeating?
Yeah, there's a concept in the world of mental health called limiting beliefs.
Limiting beliefs. Yeah, I think that's a big bonus because, boy, if there's any group I know that has them, it's actors, honestly. So,
Yep.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for the visit, and yeah, I'll be excited to see what kind of responses gets. I hope that everybody checks it out. It's really. I tell you again, I don't recommend a lot of things. This is a very worthwhile course. I am a satisfied client, very satisfied. So that's all. All right, Mr. David. Thanks for your time. I will talk
You're
to you
welcome.
soon.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, bye.